can AI and automation revolutionise traditional banking? And what are the real-world impacts of these transformations? Well, on today's episode of Tech Talks Daily, I'm delighted to welcome Russ Thornton, Chief Technology Officer at Shawbrook Bank. And Russ is at the helm of a comprehensive digital transformation at Shawbrook, leveraging AI-powered decision-making, workflow automation from Pegasystems. And I want to dive into exactly how these innovations have slashed things like loan processing times, saved thousands of man-hours and significantly improved the customer experience. Because we hear a lot about these big emerging technologies and AI this and AI that. But where's the bottom line? What problem are we solving? What are we improving here? This is some of the stuff that I'm excited to talk about today. And Russ has also got an intriguing origin story, so I want him to share insights from his own unique career path and maybe some of the lessons he's learned, and hopefully we'll get a few teasers on the future projects on the horizon for Shawbrook Bank too. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the UK, where you can sit down with myself and Russ, where we'll talk about all this and much more. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name's Russ Thornton. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Shawbrook Bank here in the UK. I've been here for about 5.5 years. I look after basically all things technological across the bank and the group, and have had the pleasure really of setting a strategic tech vision and strategy back when I joined, and have had a chance to sort of see it through to execution. So that's probably the quickest synopsis of my journey so far to date.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you join me. And before we started recording, we're talking about your very personal journey and how you ended up here in the UK. But for everyone listening, I always try and find out a little bit more about my guest's origin story, where that passion for tech came from, what lit the spark, and how those experiences influenced their approach in their work today. So I've got to ask you, can you tell me a bit more about your journey and how your past experiences might have influenced your approach as CTO as Shawbrook Bank here in 2024?
Sounds good. So I grew up in the States. My family live in Colorado, and actually I've got a bachelor's degree in music, so nothing to do with computers. Always had a like mathematics, etc., and studied quite a bit through university. But I moved to San Francisco in '90 to be a conductor of music theater and operetta, and actually did quite a few big shows back when you had a full pit orchestra and not sort of electronic gizmos. Because I found in music, I was pretty good at singing and piano, but not great. And I found that what I was actually really very good at was actually bringing in different types of instrumentalists, singers together to work as a team. But unfortunately, conducting doesn't pay particularly well, especially in San Francisco. But I was in Silicon Valley, the right place, the right time, learned the PC trade right at the heart of sort of PC and internet networking. I found I was pretty good at it, made some good money at it. So yeah, moved here in 97 to live abroad for a year. Again, as we mentioned before, found out quite liked it. Worked in banking for really for the entirety of the time that I've been here, either from setting up dealing systems, working for big banks, started up a couple of software companies. Again, good at a lot of bits of technology, but not great at any one. But again, where I found I actually was sort of the most comfortable and the most effective was as a CTO, bringing in groups of technologists together to work sort of towards that common business outcome. So yeah, so similar in terms of approach, very different between music and computers. But yeah, I think that sort of varied path to get me here has given me kind of a 360 view on technology. And I think that's really helped me out in my current role.
What a great story. And one of the things I always try and do on these podcasts is getting people thinking differently about technology. And I think for the large part, most people listening, when they hear about your previous life as a conductor and the world of music and now technology, that they're very separate worlds. But hearing you describe it there and having the right people in the right place, coming in at the right time, it feels like there are a few synergies between that musical world and the world of tech. Am I right in saying that?
I think you're absolutely right. And also, I kind of use the analogy of, I take it right back to Pythagoras, who is the father of modern math and modern music. Because when you think about music, it's a logical series of patterns and combinations of notes and instruments. Look at computing, and it's a series of code bases that work together to make a different type of outcome. And I think there's a large amount of computer professionals are also current or used to be professional musicians. So I think there's actually probably a tighter corollary than people might otherwise think.
And again, fascinating story. I think it's almost a podcast episode entirely on its own. But I wanted to invite you on here today to talk about Shawbrook Bank's digital transformation program. Because again, the world of banking, we all have bank accounts, or most of us have bank accounts, but don't know too much about the technology behind it all and the things that we take for granted. So what were the main goals behind that digital transformation program, and how do you prioritize these objectives to meet those, I don't know, experiences and expectations that customers demand?
Yeah, so Shawbrook started in 2011 with this sort of ethos to serve the underserved after the 2008 financial crisis. So if you were a limited company buy-to-let landlord, it was hard to get mortgages. If you were a day rate contractor making good money, it was hard to get personal loans or mortgages. So we found that there was a whole bunch of that sort of customer base that was not served by the big banks, and that's how sort of Shawbrook was formed. It went public, and then in 2017, 2 private equity companies delisted Shawbrook, and that was kind of the beginning of it, because the private equity firms really knew what the outcome and impact of investing properly into tech and digital transformation could do. Much easier to do when you're private versus public, and they sort of rallied the exec team around that and brought myself in. I think in terms of the main goals, first was setting the foundations, and you can't do a lot of these whizzy things unless you've got the basics of business productivity, network, infrastructure, data platforms, information security, postures, and organizing yourself like a fintech. And we largely did that through 2019 and 2020. And then from there, we really hit sort of the transformational sort of start, I think. And really, we have a sort of an objective of, we want to use our really smart humans, combining that deep human expertise they've gained over the years in these complicated sectors, combine the best of human with great tech and data to drive those sort of customer outcomes. So we're of the view that we'll never be 100% digital, because we always want those really smart people making those right decisions when it matters. But we really want our smart people to do really smart things and not really sort of mundane things, which we found was happening quite a bit in the group. So really, we rallied around a philosophy as we're going to write our own software. We're going to own that customer experience or broker experience with our own software. And then we're going to partner with best-in-class technologies like Pega and others for everything else, so that we can sort of automate those moments that matter for our customers, but also for our colleagues, really trying to make sure that they are doing intelligent things, not having to scramble around data, not having to create their own models for decisioning, to make not only their lives easier, but much more effective. And from that, we're still playing in those 16 different market verticals, but we're really focusing on simplicity underneath those. And that's quite hard to develop a diverse product set to your customers, but keep that simplicity be behind the scenes. So ultimately, when we look at sort of the annual results, we've been growing between 20 to 24% year on year. Last year, we had a 38% cost income ratio, which is fantastic in terms of just the sheer profitability that it gives you. And then our investors just pile that right bang into more investment and automation, because they're convinced that really adds long-term value. So I guess in terms of prioritizing the objectives, we started with the foundations. We started with that customer experience. We've really been focusing on that colleague experience, whether they're underwriters or loan originators or our call center. And now we'll start tackling sort of the core back-end banking engine as our next phase. But these things take time. You need to have investors who have the will to change and not just sort of think it's going to happen overnight. And then off you go. And you just it's a marathon, not a sprint, and it takes a while. So I'm quite happy to say right now, we're really starting to reap the benefits of all the sort of the time and effort we spent the last few years on.
And we have done brilliantly. I think we're, 10 minutes into our conversation. We've not mentioned AI yet, but I have been at 6-7 tech conferences this year, recorded 30 interviews with so many different companies. And of course, all everyone's talking about is AI. And I always try and look beyond the buzzword and talk about what problems are we solving, what improvements can we implement here, and what difference can it make to the bottom line for businesses and improve experiences, etc. So I've got to ask, how is the implementation of this AI-powered decisioning and workflow automation from, I think it was Pegasystems, how's that improved your loan processing times and customer experiences at Shawbrook Bank? Because ultimately it's all about measurable impact, isn't it?
100%. And I thought we've actually, when you look at AI, there's kind of two different sides to it. There's what I call statistical AI, which is machine learning. And then there's sort of Gen AI, which has been sort of the thing that's really exploded over the last 12 to 18 months. So we've been using machine learning models for a very long time, not only helping with automated decisioning for an unsecured personal loan. So if you go to ClearScore, Money Market, and you look for a personal loan and Shawbrook pops up, that means that we've done a 7-second journey through our automated decisioning model to auto-approve you for a loan or not. Similarly, when people want to buy properties from us, if people want to get an SME loan, we've got really robust models on the front end. But we also have robust machine learning models when customers are in life. So we've got a product internally that looks at our limited company customers, looks at their commercial current account information, runs a lot of simulations over it based on their cash flows. And we can predict if a company's going to be in trouble probably about 3 or 4 months before they even know they're going to be in trouble. And that gives us a chance to be able to have a phone call saying, look, Mr. Customer, have you been noticing these trends? I think we should talk about how we sort of make this work to where you don't get yourself into a spot of bother. And that type of using data and models to not just help get people through the front door, but to help do the right thing by customers in life is really important to us. And on the Gen AI side, aside from the co-pilots and the developer productivity, there's some fascinating things inside of there that, again, help us review customer information, whether that's going out to externally held customer information that we have inside of our own organization. So we're looking at training models to where if we need to do a credit review or we need to do an assessment of a current customer, our really smart people don't have to go to a million different places to harvest that information in, but we can use Gen AI not to sort of just to gather that information, but to provide baseline assessments on it. Again, so we can do things faster, more accurately, and not have to continue to sort of grow people as we grow the bank.
And refreshingly, when I was researching you and the story and journey you've been on there, it's not just about AI. And I was also reading about the impact of Pega's low-code capabilities, especially on your underwriters' productivity and indeed the overall loan approval process. Are you able to expand on that for people that have not seen this?
Sure thing. So on the front end for customers, we use standard technologies like React and C# services. But when it comes to business process automation, it's really hard to build that yourself. And I'd worked with Pegasystems in the past and knew about its ability to not just define a process graphically, but that graphical process becomes the code that actually gets executed, and how you can then create really nice interfaces for colleagues based off of those processes to make that sort of end-to-end engagement really slick and very fast to implement. So we brought in Pega a while ago. We started inside of our unsecured personal loans business, where once a loan was applied for, the completions process was so manual. And we got to the point where we were able to drop sort of completions times by 75%, which is huge. So we're able to get 75% more business through the door, simpler, more effectively, with clear sort of audit trail behind it by using the Pega Platform. And that's what really sort of made the penny drop inside of Shawbrook, saying, if we could do it for this, let's just sort of rip up the rule book for how we underwrite mortgages. Let's look at how the policy has been created. Let's look at the process and rethink it from scratch. Let's create a service design that we think is going to be best in class, and then use Pega to come in and automate it. And right now, we can get a customer to an indicative mortgage offer in 8 minutes. We can go from an indicative mortgage offer to a full mortgage offer, an average of 11 days. I mean, it used to be 40 days, and now we've pulled that down to an average. And we've had a couple that we've done in less than a day. And that's what we do now. So our underwriters can handle 3 times more cases than they used to. Processing times are about from 40 to 11 days. And for brokers, it means that we give them a surety. They know that if they come to us, we're going to process their customers' needs quicker, and we take deals off the table as a result. So it's great for the customer because they get their money faster. Great for the broker because they're able to funnel more deals in. Great for our underwriters because they feel like they're doing value-added stuff, and again, ultimately good for the bottom line. And we're sort of further expanding on that with a group called Pexa, who are trying to automate the completions process. I mean, how many times have you been in a chain and you have no idea what's happening up and down the chain? Well, they've automated that completely in Australia, and now they're working with the Bank of England to automate the completions process here. So we managed to get a refinance because we've automated that end-to-end journey from indicative mortgage offer to refinance in 7 days. Yeah, from actual completion. So that to us is what we see as kind of the future of mortgage processing, to where it's completely digital and exactly where you are in every step of the way. And it's kind of good for all parties around, and it's just good for the industry. So that's been a huge boost for us. And we have, like I said, further plans to continue to refine that.
And there's so many powerful stats in everything you just mentioned now. And I think that's so important, especially at a time where every tech project is under close scrutiny now for what ROI will it deliver, what business value will it deliver. And I'm curious, what would you say are the key achievements from phase 2 of your digital transformation, particularly in the buy-to-let mortgage underwriting process? Anything you can share around that and those big achievements you've had?
Yeah, really just echoing what the stats that I rolled out. Those were specific to buy-to-let. Right. But really the next phase is how we take that into bridging loans, to commercial investments, to development finance, to our owner-occupied businesses. And now that we've sort of established the beachhead, it's how do we make that sort of consistent across the rest of the group? Because that's what's really going to drive sort of the future value. And I think when it comes to transformation projects, I think one pitfall that people sometimes run into is they say, well, I'm going to deliver this thing for you, Mr. Board, and it's going to take 2 years or 3 years to deliver them. When actually, if you really focus on short, sharp interventions that add value really quickly, maybe not massive amounts, but it starts to win hearts and minds. And then you just start layer on piece of value. And all of a sudden that transformation journey has got a bucket load of momentum, because you've proven that the model works and you've kind of earned the right to play. And I think we've done that not only for the unsecured loans, but certainly in sort of the buy-to-let mortgage processing. And now we've got the right to play to roll it out to the rest of the group.
And I suspect many people listening to your story around the world will be inspired. And I suspect that many leaders will have those light bulb moments going off at the moment, and maybe even inspire them to embark on their own digital transformation journey. So for anybody that's just setting out on that, what lessons would you say you've learned from Shawbrook Bank's digital transformation journey, and how have those lessons shaped your future plans, do you think?
Yeah, so I think a few things. As a CTO, trust your instincts. If you go into an organization and you realize that X, Y, and Z bit of foundation work needs to get done, you need to have the strength of your conviction to get those things done. Otherwise, you're going to be building a transformation on a deck of cards, and that could be quite hard. I think that from the second side, on top of what I mentioned before about adding value in short, sharp interventions, just always speak the language of the business. Always try and figure out what's the benefit to customer, to colleague, to financials, to risk, and then try and keep it as less techie as possible. It's really hard being a technologist because you want to talk about all the great techie things that are out there, but really learn the language of the business and what concerns the businesses have, because inside of that will be those nuggets of things that you really should be going after first for those initial quick wins.
And how do you ensure the integration of low-code and intelligent automation solutions align with your bespoke software from direct customer interactions? Because I would imagine there's a huge piece there that we don't talk about enough, and it's probably a big concern for other people with bespoke software, because a lot of businesses think what they're doing is unique and nobody does it like us, and our bespoke software is crucial to that. And of course, for the most part, I think most businesses are very similar. But how did you get around this?
Yeah, so you really need to spend a lot of time thinking about that microservices and API integration layer that sits between those customer and broker websites that you provide and these low-code solutions like Pega. If you get that integration layer right, which is a very technical thing, then that interaction becomes so seamless. And indeed, there's things that Pega are doing as well, to where you can start to embed Pega screens into those custom UIs that you build as well, to try and make those integration points a lot more seamless. So yeah, really focus on the integration points and look at products that give you the ability to make that sort of integration process easier.
And looking ahead, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to share anything here, but are there any future transformation projects that you might have planned, and how do you envision these projects further enhancing your bank's operations and customer satisfaction scores and all that good stuff? Is there anything you can share around that road ahead?
Yeah, sure. We're right in the middle of another big piece of work, which is for our savings deposits business. Yes, we don't have branches, current accounts, so everything for our deposits businesses is online. We're in the process of rewriting the front end application that those customers use with their own software, using Pega for the customer service agent screens and telephony and call center. That should be cutting over customers towards the tail end of the year. That's a really big deal for us to help with better journeys for the savings customers and better retention. So again, that should hopefully be well underway tail end of this year and into next. And then after that, it's looking at those back-end systems of record that book the loans and then hold the deposits and that process the loans. We've got like a number of banks. We've got a few of those, more than we want. So we're starting a rationalization effort between, let's say, we don't want to have as many as we have. So selecting a technology provider, which we'll be sort of announcing in the next sort of month or so, and then going through that next phase, which is drive simplicity, drive better customer satisfaction, not just when you get them in the door, but how you manage either their loan or their deposit sort of in life. And then that'll be another sort of good 2-year stint. But that, for any technologist in banking, they know how hard that is. And we wouldn't have been able to even start thinking about tackling that had we not done the colleague layer and the customer layer first.
Wow, incredible what you've done here. And I love how you're continuously improving as well. And I'd love to get you back on maybe early next year, see how things are evolving for you. But we started the podcast talking about your origin story from being a conductor, a musician, and now to being the CTO. And as we come full circle, I'm not going to ask you to look back at your career. And none of us are able to achieve any degree of success without a little help along the way. Very often somebody sees something in us, maybe invests just some time in us and helps us along the way. But so is there a particular person that you're grateful towards that helped you get you where you are today that maybe we can give a little shout out to?
Yeah, 100%. And it was really quite an easy choice. The CEO at Shawbrook when I joined is a guy called Ian Cowie. And any transformation journey is difficult. 2019 was a challenging year for me. And sort of early in 2020, as we saw the specter of the pandemic looming ahead of us, he said, are you okay? And I said, it's just really quite difficult. There is a lot of stuff going on at home. And he said, look, I'm going to invest in this thing called a coach for you. So this lady called Angela Rutherford Adams. And that was a game changer. Not just sort of a warm, fuzzy coach, but someone who really helps you challenge your thinking, not just at work, but at home, because these things are really inextricably linked. And so the sessions I spent with Angela really just helped me turn my attitude and mindset into a much more productive space, which really has been sort of the foundations for a lot of the stuff that we've done for me personally at the bank over the last few years. So be sort of a dual shout out to Ian for saying, hey, do you need some help, mister? And then for Angela, for the coaching sessions that we had. If anyone has the pleasure of having a personal coach, take it and embrace it with both arms, because it will definitely make a difference.
Wow, again, incredible story. And one of the reasons I love asking that question is you've mentioned Ian there, and just him taking a few moments out of his time to say, hey, are you okay? Let me invest in a coach for you. It was a simple act for him, and he's probably forgotten about it now, but it's meant the world to you and completely shaped your career. And it's so important that we share these stories. So, Ian, big shout out to you and indeed Angela. And for everybody listening, whether they're a potential customer or a business leader wanting advice and maybe connect with you and learn more about the journey that you've been on, where's the best place for people to find out more information about all things Shawbrook Bank and indeed yourself?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest place is to go to our website, shawbrook.co.uk. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. People want to sort of reach out, happy to connect. But yeah, those are probably the easiest places to find us.
Well, again, thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Love chatting with you about AI-powered decisioning and workflow automation from Pega, how you're using low-code and intelligent automation solutions to improve loan processing times by 75% and saving your underwriters, I think, 1,500 man-hours per month and improving customer experience as a result and driving simplicity through the organisation. Pure gold from my side, but just thank you for sharing your story with me today.
Pleasure. It's been good fun. Thank you.
I think it's evident that the integration of AI and automation can, yes, dramatically enhance banking efficiency and customer satisfaction. But what further innovations can we anticipate in the financial sector? And how can other organisations emulate the success of Shawbrook Bank's digital transformation? This is where I want you to share your journey and join me in diving a little bit deeper. So please let me know who's been instrumental in your journey towards success. How do you see AI shaping the future of your industry? I want you to share your thoughts, join the discussion by emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, X, LinkedIn, Instagram, just at Neil C. Hughes. And while I've given you lots to think about there, I'm also going to prepare for tomorrow's guest. Got another cracker lined up for you. But thank you for listening today, and until next time, don't be a stranger.